Excuse me, could you help me leave here? Her voice floated softly through the music. Crystal chandeliers cast brilliant light across the ballroom floor, where couples in tuxedos spun in elegant circles. A man in janitorial coveralls stopped mid-sweep, mop still in hand. The girl before him wore a white evening gown. Her eyes were half closed, unfocused. I can't see the way, but this music is so beautiful. He hesitated, then extended his hand. The entire ballroom froze. A janitor offering his hand to the CEO's daughter, inviting her onto the dance floor. Whispers erupted across the room. She smiled gently. You don't need to see me. Just move with me. Before the music could finish, a deep voice cut through from the grand staircase. Cold, clear, every word deliberate. Who gave you permission to touch my daughter? The piano stopped abruptly. The crystal lights seemed to dim, as if someone had strangled the very air in the room. Ethan Miller, 38 years old, former firefighter, now working as a janitor at the Starlight Grand Hotel in London. He lived with his 9-year-old daughter, Emma. Bright, energetic, obsessed with painting. Chairman Richard Arden had rented the entire 8th floor of the hotel, converted it into a private music room for his blind daughter, Clara Arden, 24 years old, learning therapeutic piano with a private instructor. Every morning, Ethan pushed his cleaning cart down that hallway. He always heard the piano, soft as breath, sometimes missing notes but full of emotion. One morning, the instructor arrived late. Clara practiced alone. She hit a wrong key, sighed with frustration. Ethan paused, spoke quietly. Try the key one note lower. Clara turned toward his voice. You can hear it? I don't know much about music, but my daughter hits that same wrong note all the time. She laughed, a sound that seemed to brighten the entire room. They talked about sound, light, the fear of losing people you love. Emma, waiting for her father in the hallway, peeked curiously into the room. Clara heard pencil scratching against paper. Who's there? I'm Emma. I'm drawing you. I'm going to draw you with wings so you can fly away from the darkness. Clara's voice trembled. I can't see, but I can feel those wings. Ethan stood outside the door, silent, unsure why his eyes stung with tears. The next day, while cleaning the room, he found a handkerchief Clara had left behind, embroidered with the initial CA. He washed it carefully, folded it, placed it in a drawer beside his daughter's drawing. 2 different worlds, touching accidentally in the same wooden drawer. Over the following days, Ethan began to time his cleaning schedule around Clara's practice sessions. Not intentionally at first, but gradually he realized he looked forward to the sound of her piano. The way certain notes would hang in the air, searching for resolution. The way she would pause when frustrated, then start again with renewed determination. One afternoon, Emma asked him, Dad, why does that lady always play sad music? I don't think it's sad. I think it's searching. Searching for what? Something she can't see but knows is there. Emma considered this seriously. Like when I close my eyes and still know you're in the room? Exactly like that. That evening, after his shift ended, Ethan found Emma drawing by lamplight. Another picture of Clara, this time with musical notes floating around her like fireflies. What's this one called? He asked. The Girl Who Sees with Sound. He hung it on their small refrigerator. Beside drawings of flowers, rainbows, and one of her mother, the wife he'd lost 3 years ago to cancer. Sometimes grief felt like Clara's piano, searching for notes that would never quite resolve. The next morning, when he entered the music room, Clara spoke before he could say anything. Your footsteps are different from everyone else's. How so? They're careful, like you're trying not to disturb something. I don't want to interrupt your practice. You never interrupt. Sometimes I play better when I know you're listening. He didn't know what to say to that, so he said nothing, just began dusting the windowsill, moving slowly so the cloth wouldn't make too much noise. After a long silence, Clara spoke again. Can I ask you something? Of course. Do you believe people can see without eyes? He thought carefully before answering. Think we see with more than our eyes. Sometimes we see with our hands, or our ears, or our hearts. My father thinks I'm fragile because I can't see. But I'm not fragile. I just experience the world differently. Your father loves you. Sometimes love looks like overprotection. Is that what you do with your daughter? He smiled, even though she couldn't see it. Every single day. Then we're both lucky. And both trapped. Trapped. By people who love us so much they forget we need to breathe too. Those words stayed with Ethan long after his shift ended. That night, Emma asked if Clara had friends her own age. I don't know, sweetheart. She seems lonely, like she's playing for people who aren't there. Maybe she is. Then we should be there, so she doesn't have to play alone. Out of the mouths of children. The next day, Ethan brought Emma with him to work. Against policy, but the hotel manager had a soft spot for his daughter. When Clara heard the small footsteps, she stopped playing. Emma? Hi, Miss Clara. I brought you my drawing. Dad says you can feel pictures with your hands. Ethan held his breath, hoping his daughter's enthusiasm wouldn't be too much. But Clara smiled, the brightest smile he'd ever seen on her face. I would love to feel your pictures. Emma ran forward, placed the drawing in Clara's hands, guided her fingers over the textured paint and raised lines. See, these are your wings. And this is the piano. And these little dots? Those are musical notes flying away into the sky. Clara traced every line carefully. When she finished, tears rolled down her cheeks. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And Ethan understood. She didn't see with her eyes, she saw with her heart. From that day forward, Emma and Clara became inseparable during practice sessions. Emma would sit quietly on the floor, drawing while Clara played. Sometimes Clara would ask, "What are you drawing now?" And Emma would describe every detail, the colors, the shapes, the feelings. This one is purple and blue swirling together, like music looks in my head when you play. Music has colors for you? Everything has colors. Don't you remember colors? Clara paused. I do. I went blind when I was 7. I remember yellow. It looked like warmth felt. Then I'll paint you lots of yellow things so you can remember. One rainy afternoon, Clara forgot her coat. Ethan offered his work jacket. You always smell like soap and metal, she said, because I clean floors every day. I find that smell comforting. The word hit him unexpectedly. Comforting. It had been a long time since anyone found comfort in his presence. Clara told him about her childhood, how she used to see light, yellow like warm sounds. Ethan told her about his wife, how she taught him to dance, because sometimes you survive by keeping your feet moving. Do you still dance? Not since she died. I'm sorry. Don't be, she wouldn't want me to stop moving. I just forgot how. One evening, Clara's instructor mentioned the upcoming charity gala, a performance in the hotel's grand ballroom. Clara's face went pale. I hate lights. I hate the whispers when I miss a step. Ethan spoke gently. If you're afraid of the lights, think about the people listening to you, not looking at you. And you, she asked, will you be there? I'll just be cleaning the floor, but if you need me, I'll stand near the piano, so you know you're not alone. The words seemed to settle something in her. She nodded slowly. Thank you. That week, Emma created a new drawing. Clara at the piano with wings spread wide, musical notes surrounding her like stars. She wrote at the bottom in careful letters, so she won't be afraid of the light. Ethan hung it on the inside of his locker at work, where he could see it every day. As the gala approached, Clara grew more anxious. She would start pieces and stop halfway through, hands shaking. I can't do this. Yes, you can, Ethan said firmly. You've played this piece 100 times. Not in front of hundreds of people. Then don't play for hundreds, play for one. Who? The person who needs to hear it most. Maybe that's you, maybe it's someone else. But play for one person and the rest won't matter. She considered this. Who do you think needs to hear it? I think there's a little girl watching you who's learning that being different doesn't mean being less. She needs to see you brave. Emma? And maybe a father who's forgotten how to move forward. He needs to remember too. Clara reached out, found his hand, squeezed it gently. Thank you for seeing me. Really seeing me. Thank you for letting me. The night before the gala, Richard Arden visited his daughter's practice room. Ethan was cleaning nearby, trying to be invisible. Clara, darling, are you certain about this performance? We could cancel, no one would blame you. I don't want to cancel, Father. But the pressure, the lights, what if I fail? Then I fail. But I'd rather fail trying than succeed at hiding. Richard noticed Ethan then, studied him for a long moment. You're the janitor. Yes, sir. My daughter speaks highly of you. Your daughter is remarkable, sir. Richard's expression softened slightly. That she is, though I sometimes wonder if I protect her too much. You protect her exactly the right amount for a father who loves his daughter. Is that what you do with your child? Every day, sometimes successfully, often not. Richard nodded slowly. Then we're in the same boat, you and I, just different decks. After he left, Clara whispered, He likes you. How can you tell? He didn't fire you for talking to him directly. That's basically love from my father. They both laughed. The sound filled the room like light. Emma arrived then, backpack bouncing. Miss Clara, I made you something. She pressed a small object into Clara's hands. It's a bracelet. I wove it myself. It has bells on it so you can hear your own wrist move when you play. Dad says dancers used to wear bells so they could hear their own rhythm. Clara slipped it on, moved her hand. The bells chimed softly. It's perfect. Now you'll never feel alone. Even if you can't see anyone, you'll hear the bells and remember we're with you. Clara pulled Emma into a hug. I'll wear it always. That night, Ethan tucked Emma into bed. Dad, do you think Miss Clara will be okay tomorrow? I think she'll be magnificent. Are you scared for her? A little, but more than that, I'm proud of her. Me too. I think she's the bravest person I know. Even braver than you. You might be right about that, kiddo. Dad, do you think Mom would like Miss Clara? His throat tightened. I think your mom would love her. Good, because I do. Is that okay? That's more than okay. That's perfect. Emma rolled over, already half asleep. I'm glad we're helping her see. She's helping us see too, sweetheart. But Emma was already asleep. Ethan sat for a moment, watching his daughter breathe peacefully. Then he looked at the drawing on the wall. Clara with wings. Maybe tomorrow she would finally fly. The night of the gala arrived. The grand ballroom blazed with crystal light. Hundreds of VIP guests filled the space. Ethan was assigned to the night shift, cleaning the dance floor area before and after the performance. He saw Clara in her white gown, standing anxiously backstage. She heard his footsteps, called out softly, Ethan, are you here? Right under the lights. She smiled. Then I'll find you by the sound of your mop. When she walked onto the stage, the music began. Halfway through her piece, she stopped, hands trembling. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Clara spoke barely above a whisper. Excuse me, could you help me leave here? Without thinking, Ethan set down his cleaning tools, walked toward the stage. I can't see the way, but this music is so beautiful. He took her hand, helped her down from the stage. Would you like to dance instead? She nodded, tears on her cheeks. The entire ballroom fell silent. A blind girl in an evening gown, a janitor in work clothes, dancing together under crystal chandeliers. The orchestra, uncertain what to do, began playing a waltz. Ethan guided her gently. Small steps. I've got you. I've never danced before. Neither have I, not in a long time. Then we'll learn together. They moved slowly across the floor, clumsy but sincere. Clara's bracelet chimed softly with each movement. She smiled at the sound. Around them, the crowd remained frozen, shocked, some disapproving. Others moved to tears. Emma watched from the service entrance, hands pressed to her mouth. Then Richard Arden's voice cut through the room. Deep, cold, carrying the weight of authority. Who gave you permission to touch my daughter? The music stopped. Clara stiffened. Father, please. He was just helping. But Richard was already descending the stairs, face unreadable. He stopped in front of Ethan, studied him carefully. The silence stretched unbearably. Then Richard's expression changed. Shock replaced the anger. Ethan Miller, you're the one, aren't you? Ethan said nothing. The Welling fire, 4 years ago. You were the firefighter who carried my daughter out of the building. The ballroom erupted in whispers. Clara gasped. What? Richard's voice broke. I searched for you, for months, to thank you. You saved her life, then disappeared before I could even learn your name. Ethan spoke quietly. I was just doing my job, sir. You nearly died doing your job. You went back into that building twice, once for Clara, once for another child. The building collapsed 5 minutes after you emerged. Richard removed the corporate pin from his lapel, the symbol of his company, his empire. He pressed it into Ethan's hand. No status is greater than human kindness. Then he did something that shocked everyone in attendance. He bowed. Amen. Richard Arden, one of the wealthiest men in London, bowed to a janitor. Thank you for giving me my daughter twice. Once 4 years ago, and again tonight by helping her remember she's brave. The ballroom erupted in applause. Clara was crying, reaching for Ethan. You saved me, and you never said anything? It didn't matter. Didn't matter? You're the reason I'm alive. No, you're the reason you're alive. I just helped a little. Richard placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder. Come to my office tomorrow, please. Sir, I'm not firing you. I'm thanking you, properly this time. The orchestra began playing again. This time, others joined the dance floor. A young girl in a wheelchair pushed herself forward. Will someone dance with me too? A waiter immediately stepped forward. It would be my honor. One by one, guests began pairing with staff members, executives with cleaners, wealthy donors with waiters. The invisible lines that divided them blurred. Emma ran onto the floor, hugged her father's legs. Dad, you were amazing. Clara knelt down, finding Emma by sound. Is that you? Miss Clara, you danced, just like in my drawing. Because your father gave me wings, both times. Later, as the gala wound down, Ethan found himself alone with Richard in a quiet corridor. Why did you become a janitor, after being a firefighter? I needed steadier hours. For my daughter. After my wife died, I couldn't keep taking night shifts and emergency calls. You gave up your calling for your child. No, sir. My calling is being her father. Everything else is just how I pay rent. Richard nodded slowly. I understand that now. I've spent years protecting Clara by keeping her close. I never realized I was keeping her from living. You love her. That's what matters. Love isn't enough if it becomes a cage. They stood in silence for a moment. Ethan, I want to offer you something, not a job, a partnership. Sir, I'm not looking for, hear me out. I want to build a music school for blind children. Children like Clara who have gifts the world doesn't always see. I need someone who understands safety, structure, but also heart. Someone who sees people, not profit margins. Why me, Auntie? Because you walked onto a dance floor and saw my daughter as a person first, not as fragile, not as broken, just as someone who needed a dance partner. Ethan thought of Emma, of Clara, of all the ways life had broken and rebuilt him. Can I think about it? Take all the time you need, but know this, that pin I gave you, it's not a symbol of power, it's a reminder that the most important people are often the ones everyone else overlooks. Ethan looked down at the pin in his hand, heavy, gold, meaningless. Sir, I think you should keep this. No, you've earned it more than anyone I've ever given it to you. Then I'll hold on to it, but not for me, for every person who cleans floors and saves lives and raises children and never gets thanked. Richard smiled. That's exactly why it belongs with you. As Ethan walked away, he passed a mirror, saw himself in janitorial coveralls, holding a corporate pin worth thousands of pounds. He thought about how strange life was, how 4 years ago he'd run into a burning building without thinking, how tonight he'd walked onto a dance floor the same way. Not for recognition, not for reward, just because someone needed help. And somehow that simple act had changed everything. The following week, Richard invited Ethan to his home to properly thank him and discuss the music school proposal. Ethan declined the job offer. I want to stay close to my daughter. I don't want to change anything. Richard nodded. Then help me build a music school for blind children. Clara, Emma, and Ethan transformed an unused floor of the hotel into light studio. Ethan painted walls. Clara designed the curriculum. Emma decorated with hand-painted murals. Clara said one afternoon, "I used to think music was just for remembering who I lost. Now I know it's for meeting who's still here." Every evening, blind children gathered to learn piano, violin, voice. Their laughter filled the halls. Emma created textured signs in raised letters. "You don't need eyes to see kindness." The old grand piano, damaged on one side from the Welling fire, was restored by Ethan. He attached a small plaque. "This piano survived fire and found its music again." The three of them spent hours together, building, teaching, growing. One day, Emma asked Clara, "Do you remember what colors looked when?" "I remember yellow, like warmth feels." "Then I'll teach you colors through feelings. Yellow is warm, blue is cool, red is exciting, green is calm." Clara laughed. "You make the world make sense." Ethan watched them together, his daughter teaching someone else to see. It reminded him of something his wife used to say: "The best way to heal is to help someone else find their light." One afternoon, Richard visited the studio during a lesson. He stood in the back, watching his daughter teach a small boy how to find middle C. "Don't think about where the keys are," Clara instructed. "Feel where they belong." The boy's fingers found the note. He pressed it, smiled wide. Richard approached Ethan. "You've changed her." "No, sir. She was always this person. She just needed permission to show it." "Permission I never gave." "You gave her music. You gave her safety. You gave her love. Sometimes permission comes later." "When did you become so wise?" "When I realized loving someone means letting them risk falling, because that's the only way they learn to fly." Richard watched his daughter for a long moment. "You know what I regret most?" "What's that?" "That it took me 4 years to find you. 4 years she could have had this. She has it now. That's what matters." As weeks passed, the studio grew. More students, more volunteers, more music. Clara began performing regularly. Small concerts, no pressure, just sharing. Emma sat in the front row every time, drawing while she listened. One evening after a performance, Clara found Ethan alone in the studio. "Can I ask you something?" "Always." "Why did you go back into the fire for me? You didn't know me." "Because you were there. That's reason enough." "But you had a daughter. You could have died." "I could have lived with dying. I couldn't have lived with not trying." She was quiet for a long time. "I've been trying to remember that day. The smoke, the heat. I remember arms carrying me. A voice saying, 'I've got you.'" "Was that you?" "Yes. You're the first voice I remember after going blind. The doctors said the trauma of the fire caused the vision loss. I always associated your voice with losing my sight." "I'm sorry." "Don't be, I'm not. Because now I know the same person who I thought brought darkness actually brought light. You saved my life. Then you taught me how to live it." She reached out, found his hand. "Thank you for everything." Emma burst in then, carrying a new painting. "Look, I finished it." The painting showed 3 figures standing under a piano with wings. Ethan, Clara, Emma. "We're a family now," Emma announced. "Miss Clara said I could call her that. Is that okay, Dad?" Ethan looked at Clara. She was smiling, tears on her cheeks. "If she wants to be part of our family," he said carefully, "she's welcome." Clara nodded. "I want to, if you'll have me." Emma cheered. "Yes, now I have a Dad and a Clara." "Not Mom?" Ethan asked gently. Emma shook her head. "Clara's Clara. That's better than trying to be someone else." Wisdom from a 9-year-old. That night, the 3 of them had dinner together. In the studio, surrounded by instruments and paintings. Simple food, simple conversation. Complicated feelings made simple by acceptance. "I talked to my father," Clara said, "about staying here more, being here more." "What did he say?" "He said he'd been waiting for me to ask, that he knew I needed to build my own life, but he was afraid to lose me." "Sounds familiar," Ethan said, glancing at Emma. "All parents are the same," Emma said wisely. "They love us so much it makes them scared." "When did you get so smart?" Claire asked. "I've always been smart. Grown-ups just forget to listen. Later, after Emma fell asleep on the studio couch, Ethan and Clara sat together at the piano. Play something, he said. What would you like to hear? Something that sounds like now, not past, not future, just now. She thought for a moment. Then her fingers found the keys. The melody was simple, quiet, full of gentle hope, like light breaking through clouds. When she finished, she said, "That's what family sounds like." And Ethan understood exactly what she meant. 1 year later, Light Studio had become a tuition-free school for blind and low-income children. Richard attended the first full recital, watched Clara play piano, Emma sing, Ethan stand proudly beside them. He spoke quietly to Ethan afterward. "You made me see that music isn't just for hearing, it's for living." Ethan smiled. "I'm just doing what any father would do." "No, you're doing what most fathers wish they could do. Be present, be real, be enough." After the recital, Clara gave Ethan a new painting Emma had made. 3 people standing under a wing piano. "If you two still need me," Clara said softly, "I want to stay." Ethan looked at her, met her unseeing eyes. "Welcome home." Sunlight streamed through the studio windows, reflected off the piano keys, black and white. 3 people stood together, not bound by blood, but by choice. Clara placed her hands on the keys. "I can't see light, but I can hear it." And she played. The melody filled the room, bright, clear, full of every color Emma had taught her through feeling. Yellow warmth, blue calm, red joy, green peace. Emma leaned against her father. "Dad, are we going to be okay?" "Yeah, kiddo, we're going to be more than okay." Because of Clara? Because of all of us, together. Richard stood in the doorway, watching his daughter, finally free, finally herself. He thought about the firefighter who ran into flames, the janitor who walked onto a dance floor, the father who taught his daughter to see the invisible. They were all the same person, just different moments. And every moment had led to this. His daughter playing piano in a room full of light she couldn't see, but could feel in every note. When the music ended, Clara spoke. "I want to tell you all something." The room fell silent. "For years, I was angry about my blindness, angry about the fire, about the darkness. But I understand now. The fire didn't take my sight. It gave me a different way to see." She paused. "I see kindness in the sound of footsteps that move carefully so as not to disturb. I see love in the texture of a child's painting made just for me. I see family in the choice to show up, day after day, not because you have to, but because you want to." Emma whispered, "That's beautiful, Clara." "I learned it from you, both of you." Ethan put his arm around Clara's shoulders. Emma took her hand. Richard captured a photo on his phone. 3 people, backlit by afternoon sun, surrounded by music and paint and love. He would frame that photo, hang it in his office, to remind himself what truly mattered. Not empire, not wealth, not status, but this: connection, choice, presence. As evening fell, the 3 of them walked home together, their small apartment above a bookshop. Modest, warm, theirs. Emma skipped ahead. "I'm going to make pancakes for dinner." "You don't know how to make pancakes," Ethan called. "Then it's time to learn." Clara laughed, the sound like bells, like light. "She's fearless. She gets that from you." "I'm not fearless. I'm terrified most of the time." "Then she gets it from both of us." They stood at the doorway, their home, their choice, their family. Clara spoke softly. "Thank you for finding me." Twice. "Thank you for letting me stay." Inside, Emma's voice rang out. "Are you coming or not?" They looked at each other, smiled, went inside, to mess and laughter and imperfect pancakes and everything that made life worth living. Not because they had to, but because they wanted to, and that made all the difference. If you believe healing stories like this deserve to be told, please leave a comment and subscribe to Hidden Heart Stories. We tell the stories that shouldn't be forgotten.